Hello, everybody. It's time for another episode of Grant Draws. And this week we are with Michelle Lodge, who does a comic book called Home Free, which will be on Kickstarter very soon. It's going to be
Oh,
on.
yes.
It's actually going to be on Kickstarter in about a week. So this is coming out July 24th, and I should note that this is a pre-recorded episode because July 24th is my birthday. So if you're typing away, yeah, if you're typing away in the comments section and you're wondering why we're ignoring you, that's why. Um, this time at 9 o'clock on Monday, I'll probably just be getting home from some type of Italian restaurant with my wife because I think that's what we're planning on doing. And I'll probably have had a few glasses of wine.
Which
Uh,
you should.
yeah. So that's why we're pre recorded today. Um, And as I said, we have Michelle with us. She's doing some type of, what did you say this was, a siren?
Oh, I have a demon lady. I also do have a siren here, but
Oh, okay.
I just thought I'd ink on something.
Cool, cool, cool. So I don't have any real announcements other than the fact that we're sponsored by the Independent Creators Directory. As always, do you know anything about the Independent Creators Directory, Michelle?
No, I was going to ask actually.
So Joe Bachman, he is a really good supporter of independent creators. Like he really likes helping people, with their Kickstarters and getting stuff going and promoting independent creators. He started this website called the Independent Creators Directory, and I will put the address in the show notes. But yeah, it's a place where you can go and you fill out a little form. The hardest part of it is keeping it updated. Um, and pretty soon he's going to have, like right now, there aren't a lot of people on the website, but pretty soon they're going to start having a lot more creators in it. And it's going to be a pretty cool place that, you can go and look up independent comic book creators and game creators and stuff like that.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Let's
And
check that
so,
out for sure.
cool. So, as we said, Michelle is drawing some type of demon woman, which is cool. Oh, I should also mention today is the first episode where I didn't play the trailer for my comic book Memoirs of the Morbid. And I say that because Memoirs of the Morbid also had a demon lady in it. Um, and the reason why I didn't play the trailer for it is because it was fun. It was successfully funded on Kickstarter, which is
Congratulations.
thank you. Um, yeah. So
Did it
basically,
just end?
yeah, it ended on Friday.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's good news for me too. Um, yeah. So speaking of Kickstarters, oh, and I'm working on while we're doing this stream, I'm working on issue 6 of Beowulf. So if you guys keep watching my show, you guys are going to kind of get previews of Beowulf. I don't know. This scene doesn't give away too much. It's just a dragon blowing fire, but this is what I'm going to be working on.
Oh, that's cool.
Thanks. Yeah, this is the big end of Beowulf. This is the last issue, so
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's a 6-part storyline. So I want this to turn out pretty cool.
I think the last one I read was 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I haven't gotten 5 yet. You said you're launching 6 now. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm launching issue 6 towards the end of September. So I
Okay.
don't. Are you still going to be? Are you still going to be on Kickstarter at that point, or? will your Kickstarter be over?
We'll be over September 1st, I think, or maybe end of August. So probably not.
So, for those of you who are wondering, the comic book that we're talking about getting kickstarted is called Home Free. I read issues 1 and 2. I haven't gotten issue 3 yet, but that's cool. I'm sure you'll have issue 3 on Kickstarter too.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, you'll be able to, if you've never read Home Free before, you'll be able to just get get all caught up right
So
from the beginning.
how far of a storyline is this? Is this like a 6-part storyline, an 8-part?
It is 5 issues.
5 issues. Okay, cool. So you're getting towards the home stretch too.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it crazy to think about?
It is. It is.
Yeah, I think about that all the time with Beowulf. It's crazy to me that we're on issue 6. I mean, I know some of the people who read it get mad at when I say that this is the last issue, but I mean, I'm obviously going to do like sequels and stuff like that.
Oh, good. I like the characters.
Do you have
the cat, especially?
Yeah, Mooney is based on my real life cat who unfortunately passed away recently.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice though. It's nice working on the comic book because I kind of feel it kind of feels to me like I'm spending time with him. You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
Now, do you have any pets?
I do. I have 1 cat and 1 dog.
1 cat and 1 dog. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What are their names?
Jeff is the dog, and Loki is the cat.
Oh, okay. So you're like a hybrid dog and cat person.
Yeah, I'm more of a dog person, but I do love cats too. They tend to show their affection and communicate differently than dogs.
Yes, cats are. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I guess depending on the cat, but
yeah, it's funny. Like, I keep saying that I like cats better than dogs because they're not as needy, but for some reason, every time I adopt a cat, it ends up being like the neediest cat ever. Like Mooney was the neediest cat ever. Like when he wanted attention, he was getting it whether you were busy or not.
Aw, that's sweet though. I like those kind of cats.
Yeah, he was a sweet boy. So, anyways, back to your comic book. So, Home Free, from what I read, it kind of has like a Thelma and Louise kind of vibe to it, right?
I'd say at first. At first,
okay.
Yeah, it quickly goes out of that, but I see the correlation there at the first issue.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't read issue 3 yet, so yeah. So you're saying like it kind of diverts away from that, like without giving too much away.
Oh yeah, very much. It takes on its own. It snowballs very quickly into each issue. Just kind of gets bigger and bigger action stakes and kind of like chaos essentially.
Now, I can't remember. Do you write and draw Home Free?
No, I don't. Well, I just draw it. So
Okay.
the writer is John Kratky, who I've worked with before and will continue to work with for as long as he'll put up with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
So
then
yeah.
it must be a good relationship, right?
Yeah. So we have completed a 300-page graphic novel called The Black Wall, which will
Wow.
be kickstarting in the future to actually get in print because it was run as a web series for a long time. And then we decided to start publishing via Kickstarter and kind of decided to get our feet wet with series, and that's where Home Free came in. And yeah.
So you said 300 pages?
Yeah.
Wow. So how long have you been working on that?
Well, that's done now. But I did work on it for 5 years.
5 years. Wow. And
Yeah.
is there someplace online that we can see it?
You can buy it at johnkratke.com. I'll put that in the text box over here.
Cool. I'll put this in the show notes as well. So, I mean, that takes a lot of dedication to do something for like 5 years, especially like on. And you said you're gonna kickstart like a print version.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the plan. So the Black Wall is actually a prequel of Home Free.
Oh, okay.
But you don't have to have read one or the other first to enjoy them on their own. So, but they're set in the same world, just at different timelines.
Oh, okay. Cool. Cool. Okay. And so you said that's going to be on Kickstarter when this later this year?
The Black Wall,
Yeah.
well, not this year. Not
Oh,
this year.
okay.
Hopefully next year. So our plan is to get Home Free completed, and then kickstart the Black Wall. So then we can offer bundles that include both stories if someone's coming in, completely fresh but is interested in the whole thing. They'll be able to jump in wherever they want to
Oh, cool.
there. But it's also a bigger book. So with Kickstarter, as you kind of have to grow your audience slowly and build trust with people. So we're working on it.
So what do you guys do to help build your or how do you market your comic books?
A lot of social media, and after that, we're trying to figure that out. So if you have any tips, I'd love to know what you've done for Beowulf.
But do you have a newsletter?
I do.
Okay. Yeah,
Sit
that's a
back.
good way to
Okay.
keep people informed.
Right on. Okay. Yeah, I need
Um,
to be better about that.
well, I mean, like, yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, it can be hard when I mean, making a comic book is a job and a half, right?
Yeah.
And then if you want to promote it on top of that, plus, going to conventions,
Yeah.
yeah, it can be a lot, right?
Yes.
Where do
Yes.
people find the time, right? Um,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I should probably put out my newsletter once a month. It's probably closer to once every like month and a half.
Okay.
Um, I don't know, and that's just laziness on my part. Um,
It's hard
yeah.
to
Um,
be creative and be like promoting. It's just two different skill sets.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I have been talking to a couple different people about possibly hiring somebody to do marketing for the comic book.
Cool.
But again, um, if you're not making a lot of money on these comic books, that
Yeah.
can be hard too, right?
Yep.
Because I
Yep.
mean, I mean, right now the goal is kind of, at least for me, to break even on the
Mm-hmm.
comic book, and um, every time you have to hire somebody else, makes it harder to break even, right?
Yes. Takes out of that fund.
Yeah. So now, okay, so you said that you were collaborating with, I'm sorry, what was the gentleman's name?
John Kratky.
Okay, and do you like do you get did you help him come up with the idea, or did he pretty much do that himself?
Oh yeah, no, that's all his brainchild. I'm just bringing the visuals,
Cool. So
and
so
yeah.
what got you into comic books in the first place?
Well, I always loved drawing, and as a kid, I would read like Archie comics and you know things like that.
Archie. Okay.
Calvin and Hobbes was a big one,
Right.
and then as I grew up, I got my hands on this Batgirl comic. It's like
Ah.
the first issue of I'm blanking out on her name, but it's the Batgirl who's mute.
Oh, right.
But the art in that just like blew my mind, and the whole different types of stories that you could tell like through drawings, and I was just like I was addicted from that moment.
So
So
so when you read, are
yeah.
you mainly into like superhero, or are you into comedy, or do you read a little bit of everything?
I try to read. I try to go outside of what I would normally pick sometimes just to shake it up and see,
Right.
I don't know how different stories are told in comics. But I really like either true stories or um, less fantastical, sort of more down to earth kind of this could happen sort of comic.
Oh, well, that's cool. Yeah, there's a lot more of that nowadays than there used to be. Like, I don't know how old you are. I think you're a little bit younger than me. At least it seems like that. But like
38.
you're 38. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're 4 years younger than me.
Okay.
Um, or I guess since this is airing on my birthday, I guess technically you're 5 years younger than me. Um, so yeah, I remember when I was a kid, um, there really wasn't anything other than superhero comics. I mean, I mean, I'm exaggerating, of course. I mean, obviously there were non superhero stuff out there. Like, I mean, the big comic book that comes to mind is, of course, Sandman. That was kind of the
Mm.
first really big non superhero comic book. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's cool to go to a comic book store and just see a lot of diversity nowadays.
Yeah. I like that too. What do you like
Yeah.
to read?
Um, to be honest with you, I don't really read much Marvel and DC. I mainly stick to independence. Um, well, I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by independence. I read a lot of Dark Horse, a lot of Image. Um, I just started reading this comic book from Image called Local Man.
What's
Have you
that?
ever heard of that?
No.
So it's by Tim Seeley. Uh, it's about this. It is a superhero comic book, but it's kind of a superhero comic book with a twist. It's this guy who's kind of a disgraced like superhero, and he has to go back to move in with his parents. And it seems to me, at least from what I've read so far, it's going to be kind of almost like a parody of like those early Image comic books. Um, or maybe not a parody, but it's kind of going to be uh, everybody who's watching this is going to make fun of me because it's kind of an homage to like those early Image comic books. Um, I don't know if you read any of those back in the 90s.
I'd have to hear some titles to be sure. I
Um,
don't think I followed the publisher until more later in my life.
so like back in the early 90s, it's funny, like Image is now like a really respected like publisher, but back in the 90s they published like a lot of really really bad comic books. Um, like uh, like I mean, I'm sure you've heard of Spawn.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
you've heard of like Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld, like
Oh yeah.
like those kind of comic books, like the super 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 exaggerated proportions, like
Rob
just like
Liefeld and the rest.
right, like the comic books that are just you know people like the entire issue is just like gunfights with no talk dialogue and
Mm,
no character development. Just um,
yeah.
yeah, I don't. I liked those comic books when I was like 13 or 14, and I'm not quite sure why. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, where you try to go back and look at stuff that you liked when you were like 13 or 14, and you're like, wow, why did I like this?
I'm sure that's happened in movies and shows.
Yeah, but yeah, it's funny. Like a lot of those Image comics were huge, and I don't. And looking back on them now, they were really terrible.
They couldn't fly today, probably. Too many
Yeah.
critics.
So the illustration that you're doing is this for something, or are you just doing this for fun?
Yeah, just for fun.
Oh, okay, that's cool. So what type of a schedule do you have with uh, Home Free? Are you planning on finishing issue 5 next year? Or,
Yes. I
okay,
mean,
cool.
the hope is that we could do that this year. It's just, it's basically my fault that things run a little slow.
I mean, I
Um,
wouldn't say it's your fault. I mean, I'm sure it's because you're taking your time with the art and you want it to be right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's that's it. I also have kids. Which do you have kids?
I have 2 stepkids.
Okay, yeah. So they can throw a wrench in your schedule quite often.
How many kids do you have?
Two, uh, 9 and 7.
9 and 7. Okay, so they're still
Mhm.
relatively young.
Yeah,
Are they
yeah.
boys, girls?
One of each.
Oh,
Older
okay,
one
cool.
is a girl, and then a younger
Now, are they
son.
interested? Oh, I'm sorry.
Stop. Wasn't gonna say anything. Go ahead.
I was just curious, are they interested in drawing or just, or do they think, are they
Well,
like my kids and they think it's dorky?
oh, dorky. No, they don't think it's dorky. They think it's cool. Um, but my my daughter was displaying interest in drawing, and she enjoys it, but she has recently discovered the joy of gaming. So that's
Huh.
really just like overpowered pretty much almost everything else aside
No,
of her sports activities.
are you
But
talking about like video gaming or tabletop game?
yes, oh, I
Okay.
wish. Yeah, I would love little D&Ders
Right.
maybe someday.
Yeah, my stepson went through a phase where like all he really did was play video games. It was like, he would get home from school and
Hmm.
he would just immediately go down into the basement and be playing video games. But it seems as if he's kind of grown out of that, which
Oh,
is
that's
nice.
good. I
Yeah,
think that's good. To each their own opinion. But
right.
yeah, it worries me, like have you breathed the air outside today yet? No? Maybe you should. They'll just all day just get sucked in.
So okay, so you like, do you limit their video gaming or just make little suggestions like that?
I make suggestions, I think. Sometimes I force them off the screens, but I do want to get better about that. I'm such a softball mother.
Oh, really?
Could you please? Yeah, I need to get tougher.
That's funny.
Please get off the screen.
I mean, it can be hard, and
Yeah,
um, yeah, I mean, and kids nowadays have so many more options. I mean, part of the problem is like, we used to do that with my stepson Liam. Like, we would say, go outside and instead of playing video games, and he would be out there playing video games on his phone. So it's like,
can't get away from it. Oh no.
right, what can you do, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's yeah.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say that my kids think drawing is dorky, but it is funny. Like, I definitely have a harder time getting them interested in like comic books and stuff than
Hmm.
I did when I was their age. Um, yeah, I don't
Entertainment
know.
has changed so much.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. I think it's just there's so much other media out there for kids.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, if I had had thousands and thousands of hours of YouTube videos, at the click of a finger, I maybe
Yeah.
wouldn't have gotten as into comics as I did.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It's kind of wild to think about how technology has changed things
Yeah.
and how it might change things in the future, people's entertainment preferences and oh no, what happened to my okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, and it's also has changed comic books as well. Like, I mean, you mentioned that you do a web series. Um, did you enjoy doing that?
I did, but I was excited to see it in print, which, I still have yet to, but someday.
Yeah, I mean, I own some digital comic books, but overall, I prefer having them in print, and I don't know if that just makes me old school or why that
I'm with
is.
you. No, I'm totally with you. There is something about having that tactile experience, like holding it and reading it on paper rather than on the screen, it's there and gone when you scroll, but when you're holding it, it's like there's something to it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to get digital copies of a lot of the comic books, especially like the ones off of Kickstarter, just because
Mm.
I'm starting to run out of room uh,
Oh, yeah, that is a
with
problem.
with all the stuff, with all the comic books that I have. Um, yeah, that's always a problem. Um, I I do really like trade paperbacks just because to me it's easier to organize. You know, I can just set them on a bookshelf as opposed to a long box. But yeah, I never did the web comic book thing just because at least when I was looking into doing it, it seemed like it was kind of hard to make money off of it. I don't know
For
if that's still
sure.
the case.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it
it is.
seems, yeah, it seems to me like a lot of the people who do or who read web comic books want them for free,
Yep,
and
that's
that can
right.
be really hard. Like
Yep.
there have been a couple times when I go to conventions and people say, "Oh, I like reading my comic books digitally. Like, do you have digital copies of it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can get them on Amazon." And then they're like, "Oh, no, I don't want that. I want on Webtoons." And I'm like,
Hmm.
"Oh, you want them for free? That's what you want." Oh well. But
It is tough. I know exactly what you're talking about.
so do you feel like doing like a web comic helped you build like a following though?
Um, Maybe a little bit. Uh, but the thing about the Black Wall is the genre is very specific. It's not like, orcs and fairies and mystical beings or aliens or sci-fi or superheroes or things like that, which have this wider audience. And actually romance has a big audience as well. But we're crime noir, and it's like this very specific type of noir. It's like dramatic crime fiction, I guess.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, the Black Wall moves at a different pace than Home Free does. Home Free reads very well in issues, and the Black Wall reads very well as a graphic novel. So when we were posting it page by page, it was kind of, I think it was, I don't know, maybe a bit slow for that format, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
So yeah, was that a challenge too? Just like you posted like what would you post like one page a week or something like that?
Yeah. And then I think there was a time where maybe it was less than that, where I had a baby and
Oh yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Well, obviously that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't the fastest posting schedule. I mean, it took us years to complete it, but we did it. It's done
That's awesome.
finally.
I'm looking forward to checking it out when it comes out on Kickstarter.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So how did you meet John Kratky?
We met on a Z-Wall forum. I think it was Z-Wall. It was like
Okay.
a comic forum, and he was looking for a noir artist specifically. And I saw the post. I was like, "Hey,
Cool.
that's me!" And so I applied, as it were, And yeah, we've been creating ever since.
So was it kind of, um, like a match made in heaven, or do you guys? I don't know if you guys argue. Do you?
Never.
Oh, really?
Never.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
it's it's an amazing collaboration experience. Just very smooth, which is why I'm saying, like, as long as he'll put up with me, I'll work with him, because one, I think he's a brilliant writer, and he's also, we just seem to be on the same page creatively on most most things. So I rarely have any corrections for him, and he the same rarely has them for me. Not because we don't want to correct each other, but it's just like, yeah, good job. Yeah, good job.
Wow,
So
that sounds like a one of those rare, like once in a lifetime kind of things.
seems to be, so far. It's the best collaboration experience I've had so far. I'll say that.
Cool. Have you
Yeah,
done other comics before you met John?
I I have. Yeah, I've illustrated a all ages comic about a robot who dreams of being a superhero, and that was called Whiz Bang, The Adventures of Whiz Bang, and that's still on Amazon, I believe. You can get that there. Um, that was a nice collaboration too. I won't say it wasn't. I won't. I have nothing bad to say about that collaboration. Yeah, and then before that, I did have a poor collaboration experience, but that was a
Oh,
long time ago. So
do
luckily,
you want to talk about that, or is that too?
oh,
Can you talk about it without the person knowing who you're talking about?
I think
Or do you care?
so. I don't know that they're making comics anymore. I've not seen their name come up anywhere for any comic based thing. So maybe they've moved on. Uh, but yeah, it was just um, I don't know. It just, we didn't get along very well, and
So what was it? You guys have different ideas of what the comic book should be?
um, not really. It was more of, I think, they didn't have the budget to actually pay me for the work I did and
Okay.
what was agreed on. And so they just kind of um, tried to get out of it, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean
So,
that can be a pretty big reason to not get along with somebody. Yeah, money is
yeah.
nice, right?
Yes, especially when you're counting on it and it's been agreed upon, and yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
So so
Luckily,
did you guys ever make up, or did you part on bad terms?
it was pretty bad. Uh, it at the time, and then I think I heard from them like maybe a year or two after the whole thing, and as an apology. Uh, but that was the last time. So I don't know what they're up to now. If they're still making comics, I hope they've learned from that and they're doing better. I'll say that.
Yeah, I can see why you're mad. So, I mean, did this comic ever end up coming out?
That's the other thing. No, I made the whole issue and nothing. Yeah, so it was very disappointing in many ways.
So you have all this art that you can't really do anything with.
Yep. Yeah. You know, it's not my favorite art anymore. You know, I've moved beyond it and you get better and you move on. But yeah, at the time I was pretty gutted.
I mean, at least it sounds like you learned some stuff from it, right?
For sure. Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, not just like I didn't just mean, you know, practical stuff like, hey, get stuff in writing. I'm sure you
Mhm.
also learned stuff about the craft while you're at it.
Yeah, yeah. I absolutely did. That is the nice thing about making comics is you're making so much art per issue. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna improve. You're gonna find better ways to draw things and you know, it's awesome as an artist.
Yeah, I think I'm getting better as a colorist at least because when I look at the early issues of Beowulf, it doesn't like the coloring doesn't look that great to me, but um I don't know. By the time I actually start to get better at coloring, hopefully, I'll be able to hire somebody who's better at coloring than I am, because that's kind of my least favorite part of the process.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. What program do you use?
I use Photoshop.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you is? Are you using Procreate?
No, I'm using Clip Studio.
Okay,
Have you ever
so
tried
is
this one?
I haven't tried using it. So the only reason I don't have warm fuzzy feelings towards Photoshop or anything like that. The only reason why I use it is because my day job is that I'm a graphic designer, so I have to have Photoshop anyways. Um, is Clip Studio better?
I love it.
Okay,
I used to create in Photoshop, and now I'm pretty exclusively Clip Studio. It's just the inking, and it's a program to make comics. So,
right.
I mean, as I try it out. That's all I gotta say. You should really try it out. It's got a lot of features, I think.
I think
Um,
it's not a super expensive program either, is it?
no, it's not. And their whole pricing system just changed. So I think there's like a subscription option, and then there's I don't know other options, but uh, worth checking out as a comic creator.
And so, have you tried? Do you like it better than Procreate, or have you not tried that one?
I have tried Procreate. I I like Procreate. I just really love Clip Studio.
Okay.
Yeah, so pretty much any other art program I try, I'm like, yeah, this is nice, and then I go right back to Old
So you like
Faithful.
Clip Studio the best. Hmm.
I do. Yes.
Yeah, like I said, I'm looking it up online, and it's not a super expensive program either.
Mm-mm. Not, especially when you're comparing it to, well, I guess Photoshop used to be, I remember a $600 price tag on it.
Well, I mean, Photoshop is essentially financial rape. I mean, it's like I mean fortunately, I bootlegged. All right, I shouldn't admit to that on a recording, should I?
You
Um,
can edit that out.
yeah. F- w- as a we're all just joking around here. As a joke, we'll pretend that I bootlegged Photoshop, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you're actually gonna pay the what is it, $40 or $50 a month?
I think it's like 60 now. Or maybe that's for the
60.
whole suite, but I looked into it recently and it was like more than I wanted to pay. I'll say that.
Yeah, so I have CS. I have the Adobe Creative Suite 6, which is the last version you could get without a subscription.
Right.
And but the problem is the next time I want to upgrade my computer, none of these programs are going to work on that. So I'm going to have to figure out something, because I mean, I absolutely refuse to pay the monthly subscription. Just like, even if I was a millionaire, I would not pay, as I put it, the financial rape that they're
Right.
committing on their customers.
Yeah. It
In my
yeah, it
opinion.
was a huge disappointment when they went subscription based. Like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean it. Uh, I mean, I don't know. I'm not. If I could go on a very long rant about it, so we won't. I mean, basically, they they tried to get a monopoly
Yep.
on the thing, and it's been really bad for consumers. So I said I wouldn't go on a rant, but I guess I kind of did.
That's okay. It wasn't a big rant. And I
Yeah,
agree with you.
it was a short rant. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna do, like, with my, like, freelance graphic design customers, once I can't, like, once this computer wears out. I'm going to have to upgrade the computer, and the more recent operating systems don't, you can't run Adobe CS6 on it. So I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess I'll have to figure out some alternative, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can use Clip Studio or whatever other, um, or what was the other one? Procreate
Hmm.
for the comic books, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do for my freelance stuff.
What kind of graphic design do you do?
Um, a lot of brochures. I work for uh, the Heinz Endowment, which is a, like, the charitable wing of the ketchup company.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, I also work for the Pittsburgh Parks Department, like, doing brochures and stuff for, like, the different parks here in Pittsburgh. Um, just a little bit of freelance. I do some logos for, like, comic books and stuff like that. Um,
Good to know.
yeah, I should probably promote that more heavily.
Yes.
I actually just did. Let me see. Uh, this is kind of embarrassing. I forgot the name of the comic book, but it was a pretty big Kickstarter comic book. Um, oh well, this is embarrassing that I did the logo for them, and I can't remember what the
Oh,
name
it's
of
okay.
the
Don't
comic
don't
book
feel
was.
bad.
It was something about crows. Um,
Hmm.
it was cool. And I'm also working on a new logo, for When Darkness Falls, which is a superhero anthology. I don't know when that one is going to be on Kickstarter, but it should be. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. But
Ooh.
yeah, doing logos. It's called Our Lady of Crows. Um,
Okay. Okay. I was gonna because I thought of as a different Kickstarter comic that I thought had crow in the name, but it's some sort of Western thing.
yeah, and
Oh,
I'll, if
it
I can
sounds different.
find the Kickstarter, I'll show you the logo that I did for them. Yeah, so do you also do like the lettering and like the design of your comic books?
I don't do the lettering. Um, Not sure what you mean by design.
Like the design, like do you design like the credits page and like the cover,
Oh, yes.
stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah, that I do.
Cool, cool.
Yeah. Uh, but lettering is like a whole different skill.
So do you work with another letterer and do you guys work together? Like I've always wondered how people do that. Like do you have to work with the letter in order to figure out where um like the sound effects and whatnot will go in
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah. Uh, Pretty much John is the one that works with the letterer. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, Eduardo Camacho. I'm probably butchering his last name, unfortunately. Uh, but yeah, so John will, let him know where all the sounds should go, and his vision as a writer,
Now,
make sure that comes through.
do you ever have to rework the art to make room for the word balloons, or is he pretty good at fitting that in?
He's pretty good at fitting it in. I made some rookie pages on the black wall. I had to redo some panels.
Oh, really? Well, that was kind of like
Yeah,
that was like your learning process book, right?
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I've done lettering for other people's comic books, and I've worked with a couple artists who don't leave room for the word balloons,
Oh no.
and yeah, that can be frustrating. I mean, fortunately, I'm the editor on it too, so I can always go back and say like, hey, can you like move down, this person a little bit, or to be honest with you, sometimes well, especially if it's something that I'm writing, I'll just edit the text a little bit to make it easier to fit the balloon in. But
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, that's one of those things that it's one of those things that people forget that you also have to do, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like I guess
It's
if I
easy.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like I guess like before I started working on comic books, it's not something that I would have thought of.
Right. Yeah. Which is, good. If you don't think about it, you don't see it. It's probably really good, well done lettering,
Right.
you know.
All right, Michelle. So we try to keep these episodes to around an hour. Um,
Oh, right.
so I want to mention that Home Free is going to be on Kickstarter, and you said August 1st?
Yes.
Okay, August 1st, and that's going to be a typical 30-day Kickstarter, right?
Yes.
Okay, and if you could send me the link to that again, I'll make sure that gets in the show notes. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I hope everybody who's watching this video follows the Kickstarter because there's actually no financial reason to not follow a Kickstarter, and that helps you show up higher in the algorithm. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I hope everybody ends up buying it or pledging when it comes out, anyways. Um, but and your Demon Girls is looking really cool.
Oh, thank you. It's fun to work on.
Maybe this could be like a future comic book idea. I don't know.
Maybe I'll have to sit on this and think about it.
Okay.
Who could she be?
So yeah, I didn't get a lot of work done while we were talking. I usually don't. I just kind of I did some of the texture in the fire. I hate I hate coloring fire. I
Oh, it's
definitely should.
hard.
I should not have done a comic book about a dragon because
Lots of
I
fire.
didn't. I didn't think about how much fire was involved in uh, doing a dragon comic book. But yeah, just slowly chipping away at it.
Well, so far so good.
Thanks. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching again, and I'd like to thank you, Michelle, for being on the show. And check back next week. I don't remember offhand who's going to be here next week, but I'm sure I'll make an announcement between now and then. And thank you again, Michelle. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you so much for having me, Grant.